The rain was coming down in heavy sheets the night it happened. One of those cold, needling storms that made even the bravest adults feel small. And maybe that's why the man running down Hartford Avenue looked the way he did, like a frightened kid. His expensive suit was soaked, his leather shoes splashing through puddles as he kept glancing over his shoulder. His breath came out in fast, panicked bursts as he shouted into the dark, "Please, don't hit me. I'm sorry. Please, just stop." Those words, raw, desperate, cut straight through the storm. And they cut straight into the heart of the man who heard them, a tired single dad named Marcus Reed, who had just finished his late shift and was heading home to his sleeping daughter. He didn't know the man pleading in the rain. He didn't know he was the CEO of a company worth hundreds of millions. He didn't know anything at all, except that the man was terrified and in trouble. Before the night was over, both men's lives would change forever. Before we jump into the story, please take a moment to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoy these powerful, true-to-life stories about humanity and kindness. It helps our channel, TruthLines USA, reach more people who need messages like this. Marcus had spent the last 7 years learning to live with exhaustion. Ever since his wife passed away unexpectedly, raising 5-year-old Kayla alone felt like climbing a mountain every day. He drove a city bus, picked up extra shifts whenever he could, and did everything in his power to make sure his daughter felt safe, loved, and cared for. So far, he had kept every promise he'd made to his little girl, but some nights were harder than others. That night, the storm had slowed the buses down, forced him to navigate flooded intersections, and delayed him an hour past schedule. His feet were heavy, his shoulders tense, and he was ready for nothing more than a warm shower and maybe 5 hours of sleep. The last thing he expected was to hear a grown man's voice trembling through the storm like a distressed child. Marcus stopped under the awning of a closed bakery and scanned the sidewalk. The voice came again, closer now, fragile and afraid. "Please. I wasn't trying to, just don't hit me." And then Marcus saw him that a man in a tailored navy suit stumbled into the glow of a street lamp. He looked completely out of place, like he'd just run out of a corporate boardroom and strayed into a nightmare. Behind him, 2 men were jogging casually, not chasing him exactly, but keeping him cornered with a threatening sort of patience. Marcus didn't have a weapon. He didn't have a plan. But something old and heavy stirred inside him. The part of him that refused to let anyone, no matter who they were, suffer alone. He stepped forward. "Hey!" Marcus shouted over the rain. "What's going on here?" The 2 men turned. They weren't huge, but they carried that dangerous, easy confidence that came from knowing no one would challenge them. "This is none of your business," one of them said. To his own surprise, Marcus didn't step back. "He's scared," he said, nodding at the trembling man. "So now it is my business." Maybe it was the storm. Maybe it was the exhaustion. Maybe it was just the universe pushing him into a moment he didn't expect. Whatever the reason, Marcus stood his ground. And after a tense stare down, the 2 men scoffed, cursed under their breath, and walked off into the night as soon as they were gone. The man in the suit collapsed to his knees in the puddles, his shoulders shaking. Marcus hurried to him. "You're safe," Marcus said gently. "It's okay." The man looked up, rainwater and tears mixing on his face. Why did you help me?" Marcus hesitated. He didn't have a grand reason. No heroic speech. Just one simple truth. "Because you needed someone," he said quietly. The man blinked at him, confused and overwhelmed, as if kindness was something foreign, something unexpected, something rare. "My car broke down," the man said, his voice trembling. "I had an argument at a bar with those guys. I wasn't thinking clearly. I said something stupid, and then they followed me outside. I didn't know what to do." "Everyone says something stupid sometimes," Marcus said, offering his hand. "Come on, let's get you out of the rain." The man hesitated, as if unsure whether to trust this stranger. But he took Marcus's hand. They walked together to a 24-hour diner a block away. The place was warm, bright, and smelled like old coffee and blueberry pie. The waitress gave them towels and mugs of hot tea without asking questions. Another quiet act of kindness in a world that didn't always give enough of it. The man slowly regained his composure. His hands still shook a little, but his breathing steadied. After a long silence, he finally said, "My name is Andrew. Andrew Carlisle." Marcus froze mid-sip. He knew that name. Everyone in the city did. "You're the Carlisle from Carlisle Industries?" Marcus asked, Andrew nodded wearily. It's not as glamorous as people think. Marcus didn't know much about CEOs, but he did know this. The man sitting across from him, this man who had cried in the rain, didn't look powerful tonight. He looked human. They talked for almost an hour. Andrew told him about the pressure he carried, the loneliness, the fear of failing in front of thousands of people. He admitted he hadn't cried in years. He admitted he didn't know the last time someone stood up for him without wanting something in return. Marcus told him about Kayla, about grief, about the way kindness from strangers had helped him survive after his wife died. The diner felt like a little island in the storm, a place where two people from different worlds could sit together and just be human. When the rain finally eased, Andrew stood and shook Marcus's hand. "You probably saved me tonight," he said. "I won't forget that." Marcus shrugged. "Just doing what anyone should do." "No," Andrew said firmly. "Not anyone. But you did." They parted ways with no reason to expect they would ever cross paths again. But they did. 3 weeks later, Marcus was called into his supervisor's office at the bus depot. His stomach tightened. He hoped it wasn't a schedule cut. He couldn't afford that, but the supervisor only smiled. "You've been requested by name," he said, "for a private driving contract." Marcus blinked. "Me? What?" The supervisor handed him a business card, Carlisle Industries. When Marcus arrived at the towering glass headquarters, he was escorted to a private conference room where Andrew Carlisle stood waiting. This time, he wasn't trembling. He wasn't soaked. He looked composed, confident, but grateful. "I meant what I said," Andrew told him. "I didn't forget." Then he handed Marcus a folder. Inside was an offer. More money than Marcus made in 2 years, along with benefits that would change his and Kayla's lives forever. Andrew wanted him to be his full-time personal driver. Marcus stammered. I don't know what to say." "Say yes," Andrew said with a smile. "You helped me on the worst night of my life. I want to help you now." The job changed everything. Marcus worked fewer hours, made more money, and could finally spend real time with Kayla. He put her in a better school. He started saving. And perhaps more importantly, he developed an unlikely friendship with Andrew. Over the next year, Andrew became like a member of their family. He went to Kayla's school place. He helped Marcus fix up their apartment. He even invited them to join him for Thanksgiving, because he didn't have much family of his own. But the real moment of transformation happened one quiet afternoon, when Andrew overheard Marcus teaching Kayla a lesson she didn't understand at first. She had told her dad about a girl at school who was getting bullied. Kayla didn't know whether she should get involved. Marcus knelt beside her and said softly, "Sweetheart, you don't have to be the biggest or the strongest to help someone. You just have to care enough to step in. Kindness doesn't require perfection, just courage." Andrew felt those words hit him like a gentle punch to the chest. They were the same words Marcus had lived by the night he stepped forward in the storm. And suddenly, Andrew understood exactly why that night changed him. Kindness, he realized, wasn't weakness. It was strength, quiet strength, the kind the world desperately needed. Because of that night, Andrew began making changes at Carlisle Industries. He introduced mental health support programs, extended parental leave, and raised wages for employees who had gone years without recognition. He began championing kindness in a world that often rewarded the opposite. And every time someone asked him why he cared so much about compassion, he thought about a tired single dad who chose to help a stranger without expecting anything in return. One small act of kindness created a ripple that changed not just 2 lives, but hundreds. And so, in the end, the storm wasn't just a storm. It was a crossroads. A moment of unexpected truth. A moment when a CEO cried out in fear, and a single dad answered with courage. A moment when kindness, not power, not money, not status, became the force that transformed everything. May we all remember this. You never know who you'll save with one simple act of kindness. You never know whose life you'll change, including your own. And maybe, just maybe, the world becomes better one brave moment at a time. So go out today and be that moment for someone. Be the kindness that changes everything.